City of Stevens Point Redevelopment Authority meeting, recorded May 3, 2022.
I will call the May 3rd, 2022 Redevelopment Authority to order. Director, take the roll.
Schleiss.
Here.
Gardner.
Here.
Kneebone.
Here.
Cooper.
Here.
Kemeter.
Here.
Laddick.
Here.
Barrett.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Good. Number 2, persons who wish to address the board on a specific agenda item other than a public hearing must register the request at this time. Those who wish to address the board during a public hearing are not required to identify themselves until the public hearing is declared open by the chairperson. We do not have a public hearing. Anybody register?
No, sir.
All right, moving right on. We'll pass number 3 then. Number 1 of the regular meeting, approval of meeting minutes of January 11th, 2022.
I have a question regarding the minutes. Under the payment for the position in community development, we had said we would commit $10,000 for the first year, 2022. And then we would not exceed $20,000 for the remaining 4 years. Did that mean we're going to be paying $20,000 each of those years, or is it going to be a total of $20,000 for the 4 years succeeding? Because this year you couldn't get it in the city budget. And
Yep. So it was $20,000 each year for the following 4 after the initial $10,000.
okay,
So starting in fiscal '23, it would be a $20,000 commitment each year through.
so it'll be a
27.
total of 90 grand.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Other questions?
I guess I'll move that we accept the minutes of the January 11th, 2022 meeting and place them on file.
Motion by Gene. Who's the second?
Second. Laddick.
Dave? Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 2, approval of financial reports from November 2021, December 2021, January 2022, February 2022. Director?
The only thing to note was a transfer. About a year ago, we received the payoff loan for the Children's Museum. That building that we held the loan to sold, and so we were made whole as part of that loan. We did transfer about $450,000 out of the Housing Trust Fund into an investment account. That was something that the comptroller and I discussed. Just there was no reason to have $650,000 in that Housing Trust Fund. We've always historically had between $175,000 and $200,000 in that fund anyway. So those were transferred into the investment fund, and at any moment that we would need monies out of that investment fund, we could transfer those. So that's probably the only major note for the financial statements for the Housing Trust Fund.
Other questions? Motion, John?
Asking the staff, is there any activity toward trying to promote or activate the housing rehab programs that we've got?
Yeah, there has been. It's something that we've always, in fact, it's one of the things that the Housing Task Force, which was established earlier in late 2021, is looking at as well, as how do you better market those programs. We've had some pretty decent successes with the Neighbor Helping Neighbor. As the body might recall, we did increase the amount provided to grant recipients from $2,500 to $5,000. One thing that staff is also looking at right now is kind of going beyond the 30% AMI rule. Are there people who are, as United Way coins them, ALICE, or asset limited, income constrained individuals, who may be above that 30% AMI, but are still struggling to paint their home or replace roofs? Can we expand that program to incorporate more of those folks, as opposed to just saying this is for low-income individuals? That's one way that we're also looking at possibly expanding and better utilizing the programs.
How about partnering with CAP Services and just making some of our funds available through their loan programs.
Yeah, we do, I mean, we have the partnership with CAP for some of the housing rehab programs and then the down payment assistance. I guess we haven't really gone out of our way to have those conversations further, but it's something that's definitely worthwhile.
This is the season, obviously, and if we could activate some of those programs, get some of that money out, and like you say, instead of having it sit there in an account, get it out there, get it working, that would be something that I would be in favor of.
Other questions? Do we have a
One
motion?
final comment on that. I know that it's gonna be tough to get people into new housing and stuff, but I think there's probably plenty of people that are in their housing that needs fixing up. They aren't really necessarily interested in remodeling their kitchen. They wanna get a furnace, they wanna get some insulation, they wanna get some electric upgrades, and they've been in the house for 40 years. Those are the kind of target people that would be probably fairly easy to pick off. And they would be interested in those kinds of programs. And you know, winter's coming. Spring's not even here yet, but you know what I'm saying, getting ready for next fall. Especially if we're gonna see increases in the cost of the energy. Those folks are gonna be choosing between, you know, the old business of choosing between groceries and paying the energy bill. If we can start getting those people set up for next fall, I think there should be a push in that direction, in my opinion.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
All right, ready? Do we have a motion? Dave?
I'll move approval of the financial reports as presented.
We have a motion, a second, discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 3, options for 1700 Strong's Avenue. Director.
So the church has been raised, and the lot is cleared for redevelopment. There was a conversation on essentially what are the next steps for this specific property. We did have the city surveyor look at the property for splitting into essentially 2 single-family lots. The challenge is that our zoning code requires a minimum 5,000 square feet in the R3 zoning district, and each lot was going to be about 4,800. And so it's against the subdivision ordinance to approve non-conforming lots, and so it's even more difficult for us to justify splitting lots and trying to sell them individually. So really, it's a question for what the body would like to do next. We've got about 55,000 stuck into the property. I've had some very high-level conversations with realtors and some developers. None of them believe that the property is worth 55,000, just given its location and the surrounding neighborhood. And so we can either simply put a for sale sign up on it. We can issue another request for proposal, which, as you might recall, only yielded 1 proposal when we did that last summer. Otherwise, another option would be to just go out and see if we could find a developer to do something with that lot specifically. You know, what I think staff's preference is to not let it sit long and to kind of go out and find someone to utilize that lot for some use. So that's really the discussion that we're trying to get out of this body today.
What's everybody's thoughts? Dave?
Well, the county's had pretty good success with putting online auctions on some of these properties, like our tax deeded properties. We've been getting more money than we've expected. So, you know, that may be an option. Try it, doesn't really cost us anything. If it doesn't sell, it doesn't sell. Just throw a minimum on it. I agree that 55,000 would be a lot for that lot in that neighborhood. You get half that, that'd be great. And we can still put it over to a realtor or actually sell it by yourself. Just, you know, it doesn't take much to put it on a website. McDonald Title transfer it over. They do stuff for us all the time for the city and county.
Does that 5,000 minimum apply to like a 0 lot line type of?
No, so the 5,000 minimum is for single family, 2 families 8,000, if I'm not mistaken, in the R3 zoning. We just changed that maybe a year ago. So if someone were to propose doing a duplex development, then that they could, that lot would be conforming already to do
Okay.
something like that.
Other thoughts?
Chairman, is Cap Services or Habitat or anybody of that ilk looking for lots that the staff knows of?
We sold the Georgia Street property to Habitat a few years ago, and they have just started doing their most recent development there. You know, we haven't reached out to Habitat or had that conversation with them, nor have we had that conversation with CAP. I didn't want to put the cart before the horse in terms of having a conversation with this body before we decided what to do with it. But if that's something that the authority would want me to look into, I definitely can.
Other comments?
I guess I would say, just given the lack of success with the request for proposals, I think we should just try to dispose of it in as financially advantageous to us as possible. I think, like Dave said, an auction or something, you know, if we don't have to list it.
Well, you could market it as a duplex lot, and you might get somebody.
And that'd be some tax revenue pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think what we would want to avoid is speculators, someone to purchase it and sit on it for X number of years.
Right.
You know, so I think a condition would be some type of development within, given the current market, 18 to 24 months.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, with some type of clawback provision.
Do you think it would be worth talking to, was it the Rices last year? I can't remember.
That did, yeah. And they have
mean-
no further interest in this lot.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that really is, then it sounds really like we don't have much of an option but to put it on the market.
And I think if we get a nice looking building over there, it's gonna help the neighborhood. They see something nice, they like to fix theirs up too, because it starts raising the area's viewpoint.
Pretty decent location, so,
Is that out of the flood zone now with the,
Correct.
that's another plus.
So which way would you like the director to go? Just give him a, go out and see what he can do? That's the consensus?
I would agree with
Yeah.
the wanting it developed sooner
Quickly.
rather than later.
Yeah.
18, 24 months tops.
yeah.
Yeah, so what I can do is more or less market it as a two-family site. Reach out to a number of our two-family developers that have been doing a few things in the city. There's a few that come to mind. Ask if they're interested in property acquisition and development, and I guess kind of negotiate a price and bring it back to this body at some point for consideration. Okay.
Did the realtors or developers you talked to have a range what they thought it should be?
Most of them were south of 30,000.
Okay, that sounds about right.
Alrighty. You got your directions?
Yep.
And bring her back when we need it. Good, moving right along. Discussion and update on EPA Brownfields Assessment Grant Program. Director.
So we did begin if you weren't aware, we received another EPA Brownfield Assessment Grant for $300,000. We've utilized this grant in the past for Phase 1, Phase 2 remedial action plans for contaminated sites. And so had used all those funds up. The newest grant cycle was, of course, we received the award, which was really great. And we've been utilizing the funds mainly for Piffner Park. There was some environmental contamination that was found near the cultural commons. We have been working through that. We did a Phase 2 environmental assessment, and more recently have had the DNR and Department of Health from the state involved in those conversations as well. But I did let the Parks Department know that this grant can't be solely used for that. The purpose is for redevelopment, but it was a good way just to get the conversation started. So Parks is going to be seeking to work with Stantec, who's our environmental consultant through this grant program, but we will no longer be paying for those funds out of the EPA Brownfield site fund. So We are likely to use those funds for the Edgewater Manor site, essentially preparing that site for shovel-ready. It is currently vacant. We are having the fire department, police department do trainings there, and asbestos testing was completed last week, so we'll find out whether or not we have to do any remediation. And then after it's demoed, we would do the phase one. It's likely, just because of the historic use of the site before the Edgewater Manor building was constructed, that we'll have to go into a phase two just to verify that there is no contamination. And so we'll be utilizing the funds for that. And then, of course, because the Redevelopment Authority does own 1,700 Strongs, it's advantageous for us, and I think we talked about this last time, to have a phase one at least done on 1,700 Strongs to ensure that it's given a clean bill of health, if you will, to make it a more marketable site as well. So, we try to use about $100,000 a year. That's a 3-year grant. So, what we don't want is to be stuck with, $200,000 in the last year. We do try to use those funds pretty liberally over the 3 years that we have the grant itself, so.
John?
Any activity happening down by South Point Restaurant? Does the city own that site? Has that been looked at?
Redevelopment Authority still owns that, and I believe there was a phase one done on that property, and a phase two, but I will double check that in our files for that site. There actually has been some renewed interest in that site. So Ward Wolf, who is representing the Redevelopment Authority, has been working with a group out of Wausau that's interested in doing some type of restaurant there.
Okay. But that'd be an appropriate spot then for, if it hasn't been looked at already.
I thought we did, but, boy, that was a long time ago. I thought we did when we acquired it, but
I don't know which,
because of all the chemicals from the Norringtons,
Dry cleaner, yeah.
yeah. Because there was something that they were going back after the Norrington family to help pay for, but I think it was, but take a look. Any action you need on this?
Nope, it's more an update.
All righty, moving right along. Executive Director's report.
We were set to close on the Belkey Lumber site. As you might recall, we were transferring that to Great Northern Distilling for consideration of $1 whole. We were hoping to close on that last week. However, CWED, which is the second lender to that project, is still reviewing the closing documents. So it's likely either later this week or next week we will transfer that property from Redevelopment Authority to Great Northern Distilling. They are very hopeful they'll break ground in the coming weeks. My understanding is everything is out to bid. Prices are coming back to them, I wouldn't say favorably, but to the point where they feel comfortable moving forward with their project at the Belkey Lumber site. Additionally, city staff continues to seek developers for the remaining 2 parcels. The live-work units that were going to be on the west side of 3rd, just north of Center Point, as part of the Belkey Lumber. I don't think it's any surprise to anybody at this point that project is not moving forward. And so we are fairly actively seeking others to do a project there. One of the challenges that we're running into, of course, is that we replatted the property and put an alleyway in. And so what could have been with the parcels that were there, and I can bring them up here. Let's see, we'll just do Google Maps. That there is an alleyway that has underground utilities in it. That was part of the redevelopment of the Lullaby site. So I'll just bring this here and just show you folks so you're aware of what's going on. Pretty much through here is a dedicated alleyway, and we did underground utilities from Center Point for the Lullaby site. We put them essentially in this right-of-way, sent them north into this alleyway and over. Obviously, if you're going to do a building that's here and here, let's say an L-shaped building, you really can't build over underground electrical wires. That presents its own challenges. So it's a little bit more of a challenge to develop this site because you do lose this, I want to say it's about maybe 3/4 of an acre development site on this side that could be utilized for a mixed-use building or an affordable housing building as well. So But what you have is essentially this piece here where live work was going, and then you've got this on the corner of Third and Portage. There is a group that is interested in having conversations with the Redevelopment Authority on this site, but we're very early in the conversations about what could go there. You're probably talking about zero lot line development. Chris Kleismith, who is with Create Portage County, has been hired for the Economic Development Specialist Neighborhood Planner position. We had about 8 applicants. We narrowed it to 4, narrowed it to 2, and then ultimately made an offer to Chris. He's accepted. He will actually start at the end of May. So we're really looking forward to having Chris join our team, and I think he's going to bring a really different perspective to economic development and economic development programs that the Redevelopment Authority could implement as part of a broader strategy for redevelopment in the city itself. So I'm really looking forward to having him join the community development team. The audit for fiscal 21 is well underway. We have been working with Baker Tilly, as always, to do the financial audit for Redevelopment Authority. They are likely going to be presenting that to this body in July or August, really whenever our next meeting would be. So far, it's looking like, again, a clean bill of health, which is good. I'm not stealing anything from Redevelopment Authority, so that's even better. No one's upset about that. So, and I did mention Edgewater is vacant. That building is essentially starting to be drawn down. There's been some internal discussions on whether or not the city retains ownership of the parcel, or if the parcel be transferred to Redevelopment Authority for a redevelopment project. I think it's still kind of up in the air. For those of you who aren't aware of the history, Redevelopment Authority did own it, or CDA owned it, and then transferred it to the city council, essentially back to the city. And so I think there's some back and forth on whether or not the city wants to transfer it back to Redevelopment Authority for a redevelopment project. But that's just something that, a few of us are talking about internally. So I believe that's all I have for this month.
Questions of the director, John?
Any update on how the Lullaby project's leasing up, whatever the name of it is?
Yeah, Northside Yard, Building 2, which is technically this building here, is over 50% occupied, and so they are really pleased with that. It's way above where their performance were, and so this is completely done. Building 1, which is this building here, you can see the foundation outlines, is starting to lease up. I don't know where they're at percentage-wise, but they are not 100% done with this building. They are doing preliminary planning for the second or third building, which would be the 3-story apartment building along 3rd Street. But we have not seen formal submittals to the state yet on that. My suspicion is this would probably be a spring 23 project, just given the current bidding environment. I will say that the Northside Yard did purchase the Guzman building on the corner. My understanding is that they are looking at doing a parking lot expansion there as part of the project. As you might recall, this project is pretty well underparked, and so I think that's one of the things that they're hearing from potential tenants is there's no parking, and so they are looking to redevelop this into parking for this building. They own pretty much everything on this block except for the dry cleaners, so.
Dry cleaner still operating?
Nope.
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 Other questions for the director? We had a motion to accept his report and place it on file.
So moved.
Got a motion, second.
Second.
Second by Gene. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 6, enter into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85, paren 1, paren E, for deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, investing in public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session related to the following: initial development review and negotiating the terms for a possible development agreement for the property at 1200 Main Street and the Redevelopment Authority-owned parking lot. We need a motion to move into closed session.
Motion by Laddick.
Dave? Gene? Further discussion? Director will take the roll.
Schleiss.
Aye.
Gardner.
Aye.
Nebone.
Aye.
Cooper.
Aye.
Commodore.
Aye.
Laddick.
Aye.
Barrett.
Aye.
We are in closed session.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.